The world watches with bated breath. From the steppes of Eastern Europe to the sun-drenched islands of the South China Sea, tensions simmer. These are not isolated incidents. They are geopolitical hotspots, flashpoints where local conflicts threaten to erupt with global consequences. Understanding these hotspots is not just the work of diplomats and generals, it is the responsibility of every informed citizen. We must grapple with the complex interplay of history, ideology, and ambition that fuel these conflicts. In a world dominated by 24/7 news cycles and social media, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of crises unfolding around us. But we cannot afford to tune out. By shedding light on these powder kegs, we can better understand the challenges facing our world and work towards a more peaceful future. To grasp the present, we must first delve into the past. Many of today's conflicts are rooted in historical grievances and unresolved disputes that have festered for generations. Take the Middle East, for example. The creation of Israel in 1948, while a watershed moment for the Jewish people, also sowed the seeds of future conflict with Palestinians and neighboring Arab states. Decades of wars, failed peace agreements, and mutual mistrust continued to plague the region. Similarly, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine is inextricably linked to centuries of Russian and Western influence in the region. Understanding this historical context is crucial to comprehending the motivations of the key players and the potential trajectory of the conflict. By acknowledging the weight of history, we can begin to untangle the complex web of grievances and aspirations that drive these conflicts. Only then can we hope to find lasting solutions.
The Middle East remains a region of immense geopolitical importance and volatility. Straddling strategic waterways, possessing vast oil reserves, and home to religious sites of global significance, the region has long been a battleground for competing powers. The ongoing Syrian civil war exemplifies the complexities of the region, drawing in regional and global powers like Russia, Iran, the United States, and Turkey. The rise of ISIS further destabilized the region, exporting terrorism and exacerbating sectarian tensions. The ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains a major flashpoint. The recent escalation of violence in Gaza serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of the situation.
The war in Ukraine has shattered Europe's peace, evoking chilling memories of the Cold War. Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022 sent shockwaves across the globe, raising fears of a wider conflict between nuclear-armed powers. At the heart of the conflict lies Ukraine's geopolitical orientation. Caught between Russia's historical sphere of influence and the allure of the West, Ukraine's desire to chart its own course has been met with aggression from Moscow. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the ongoing support for separatists in eastern Ukraine were precursors to the current invasion. Russia's actions have been met with widespread international condemnation and crippling sanctions, but the fighting continues. The conflict in Ukraine is not just a regional crisis, it's a battle for the international rules-based order. Russia's actions have challenged fundamental principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity, raising profound questions about the future of global security.
Section 5. The South China Sea, Troubled Waters in Paradise. The azure waters of the South China Sea belie a tense geopolitical reality. This vital waterway, home to crucial shipping lanes and energy reserves, is a focal point of regional tensions. China's assertive claims, encapsulated by its 9-dash line, have sparked alarm among neighboring countries. China's island-building campaign has further inflamed tensions. The US conducts freedom of navigation operations, challenging China's claims. The South China Sea dispute is a powder keg with serious global implications.
Section 6. The Sahel, a breeding ground for instability. The vast, arid expanse of the Sahel region in Africa has become synonymous with instability and conflict. This belt of countries stretching across the southern edge of the Sahara Desert faces a confluence of challenges, including poverty, climate change, weak governance, and the rise of extremist groups. the Sahel has become a breeding ground for jihadist organizations, some with links to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These groups exploit local grievances, poverty, and weak state institutions to recruit fighters and launch attacks, destabilizing the region and posing a threat beyond its borders. The international community has responded with military interventions and development aid, but progress has been elusive. The complex interplay of factors driving instability in the Sahel requires a comprehensive approach that addresses both the symptoms and root causes of conflict.
Section 7. The Korean Peninsula, a frozen conflict thawing. The Korean Peninsula remains a vestige of the Cold War, a frozen conflict that periodically threatens to thaw with potentially catastrophic consequences. The division of the Korean Peninsula after World War II, followed by the Korean War, left the peninsula divided and technically still at war. North Korea, under the Kim dynasty's autocratic rule, has pursued a nuclear weapons program in defiance of international sanctions and condemnation. Its frequent missile tests and belligerent rhetoric towards South Korea and the United States have heightened tensions in the region. While diplomatic efforts have yielded some progress in the past, the situation remains precarious. The lack of trust between the parties involved, coupled with North Korea's unpredictable behavior, makes finding a lasting solution to the Korean Peninsula's division an ongoing challenge.
Section 8, Cybersecurity, the new frontier of warfare. In an increasingly interconnected world, the digital realm has become a new frontier of warfare. Cyber attacks, ranging from espionage and disinformation campaigns to disruptive attacks on critical infrastructure, have become a tool of statecraft for both state and non-state actors. The interconnected nature of our world means that cyber attacks can have far-reaching consequences, disrupting economies, sowing discord, and even undermining democratic processes. The recent SolarWinds hack, attributed to Russia, exposed the vulnerability of even sophisticated government and corporate networks to sophisticated cyber intrusions. As technology advances, so too does the sophistication of cyber threats. The international community is grappling with how to deter cyber attacks, establish norms of responsible behavior in cyberspace, and attribute attacks to hold perpetrators accountable. The stakes are high, as cybersecurity has become essential to national and global security. Section 9, the global impact, feeling the ripples of distant wars. While these geopolitical hotspots may seem like distant conflicts, their impact is felt globally. The war in Ukraine, for example, has sent shockwaves through global energy markets, disrupted supply chains, and triggered a refugee crisis not seen in Europe since World War II. The COVID-19 pandemic, while not a geopolitical conflict in the traditional sense, has exposed the interconnectedness of our world and the fragility of global systems. The pandemic has exacerbated existing inequalities, fueled social unrest, and strained international cooperation, highlighting the need for collective action to address global challenges. The decisions made in distant capitals, the consequences of climate change, and the spread of infectious diseases all transcend national borders. We live in an increasingly interconnected world, where the ripples of conflict and instability can be felt far beyond their epicenters. Section 10, Seeking Solutions, a Path to Peace. The challenges posed by these geopolitical hotspots are complex and multifaceted, defying easy solutions. Yet the pursuit of peace and stability requires sustained diplomatic efforts, international cooperation, and a commitment to addressing the root causes of conflict. Dialogue, however difficult or fraught with setbacks, remains the most effective path to resolving differences and finding common ground. International organizations like the United Nations play a crucial role in mediating disputes, providing humanitarian assistance and fostering dialogue between conflicting parties. Addressing the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of access to education and opportunity, is essential to building a more peaceful and just world. Investing in sustainable development, promoting good governance, and upholding human rights are not just moral imperatives, they are essential ingredients for lasting peace. Section 11. Conclusion, the imperative of vigilance. In an era marked by uncertainty and volatility, understanding geopolitical hotspots is more critical than ever. These flashpoints serve as stark reminders of the fragility of peace and the interconnectedness of our world. By shining a light on these conflict zones, by understanding the historical context, the key players, and the potential consequences of escalation, we can better equip ourselves to navigate the complexities of the 21st century. Ignoring these hotspots is not an option. The stakes are too high. The imperative of vigilance, of informed engagement, and of unwavering commitment to peaceful solutions has never been greater. The future of our world may depend on it. Please subscribe to our channel for more insightful videos on global conflicts and geopolitics.